Alright, hello everybody, this is Lance, this is Byrdie. Say hi to the people, Byrdie.
I'm Byrdie.
And wandering around here might be Dax a little bit. She's in the middle of a haircut, so, don't judge her too harshly. She's fine, she's cool.
It's an asymmetrical haircut.
Yeah, it's slightly, just, like, this ear's about twice as big as this ear. But, we can go away now. No, that's just encouraging her. But, we just went to see Star Trek Beyond. I keep on wanting to say Into Darkness, but I kind of want to forget that one. What
we wanted Into Darkness to be.
We didn't actually just see it. We actually went to see it last night, and we thought about doing this video then, but it was 1 in the morning, and I'm an old person, and so I was tired. I didn't want to do it.
We were both tired.
Yeah.
We both wanted to go to bed.
So, if you don't know, I have been into Trek for about 10 years now, and I've seen the original series multiple times, all those movies. I've seen all the movies. I've seen most of TNG. I've seen all of Deep Space Nine. Voyager and Enterprise I haven't seen very much of, but I know most of what happens in them. And Byrdie had seen the reboot movies in the past, and she is just now getting into the original series with me. And we're about halfway through the second season, and how do you feel about that so far?
I really like it so far. I mean, I didn't think I was going to enjoy it as much as I have been enjoying it, so...
And now in terms of the reboot movies, if you didn't know, I spent about 45 minutes 3 years ago ranting about Star Trek Into Darkness. I really didn't like it at all, and I liked the... What?
Couldn't tell.
And I saw the first one a few times when it came out, and at first I liked it, but I liked it less as it went on. And my main problem is that I just didn't think they had any story to them. They were just a bunch of random stuff and action and explosions that happened on screen, and nothing interesting really happened in them. How did you feel about those?
The movies, like the first two movies?
Yeah.
They were forgettable.
Do you remember anything about them?
I remember Benedict Cumberbatch.
You like that word now, don't you?
It's my favorite word. He was... Okay.
Byrdie didn't know what a cummerbund was until I had to do a tuxedo for one of my shows. So.
I'm easily amused by that.
So yeah, we went to see Star Trek Beyond last night, and I... was trying to keep an open mind, give this thing the third and final chance. And when it was all said and done, I turned to Byrdie, who was actually sitting to my left, just like she is now, and I go, you can quote me on this, they finally made a good one.
That's what you said.
That is what I said.
That's what you said.
And at least 24 hours later, I still feel that way, and I'm happy to say I feel that way.
Me?
Yeah, you.
I'll remember it. I give it... Okay, alright, so the first movie, I barely remember any of it, okay? I give that a 2. I give that a solid 2. The second movie, like a 4. This one I give like a 6.
Although admittedly, I mean, this is the first one you've seen since you've actually gotten into Star Trek.
That's true, and I understand the references now. I kind of want to go back and watch the first 2 movies to see if there are any.
Oh yeah, there are. I mean, I think that was one of the reasons why I sort of fell off of the first one, is that I realized all the enjoyment I was getting out of them was from the references. It was like, oh, they're saying the thing they say on TV. You know, like they just kept on quoting themselves, you know?
Right.
And I don't know, maybe it's hypocritical of me to say I like the references in this one. They just didn't really seem as intrusive.
They're very subtle, which is awesome. The green hand thing.
Yeah, that was your favorite, wasn't it? The green hand thing.
The green hand thing, Chekhov's thing at the end of it.
Yeah, okay.
That's funny.
Again, these are both references, like subtle references from season 2, which again, we're in season 2 right now, so this is still kind of, recent, fresh memories for Byrd. Scotty makes just a joking reference to a spaceship being snatched up by a giant green hand, like in Who Mourns for Adonais, where Apollo snatches the Enterprise with a giant green hand. And you, I didn't even catch this, but you saw this. You said in the end credits, as they were doing the CG pan around the galaxy, so there actually was a green hand.
Yeah, there was.
There.
Yeah. That was awesome. That made me happy.
And the other one you were talking about is they semi-quote, they paraphrase Chekhov from The Trouble with Tribbles, where he's talking about Scotch, and he says it was invented by a little old lady in Russia. They don't say Leningrad like they said in the series because there isn't a Leningrad anymore. But I was so proud that she caught on to all these references.
He's proud of me.
But I was even more proud of the movie because it actually seemed to kind of be about something. It wasn't like deep or philosophical. It wasn't like Trek at its most intellectual, but at least it had a story going on. And that was what pissed me off so much about Into Darkness, was that it teased me. It made me think there was going to be a story. They were talking about all these messages and ideas. Are we soldiers or are we explorers? And it's like, I don't know, we're just going to shoot each other for 2 hours. And I'm like, why? Why did you tease me like that? But this one does, have themes about, about living in a utopia and what the Federation feels like to people who weren't necessarily, which is actually kind of similar to the ideas in Star Trek 6. What your place is if you're a more militaristic person living in a non-militaristic society. And on a more personal one, it's about about the crew as a family, and that's not exactly territory Star Trek hasn't done before. And about Kirk's role in the captain's chair, which is certainly not something they haven't done before. Most of the previous movies, the original series of movies, dealt with that. But it was nice to actually have something going on there.
The story was pretty good. I mentioned this last night, but the first problem that I had with the movie, because I had a few.
Yeah, me too. Me too. It's not perfect. It's not great.
I felt like there could have. I've never been bored with action before. It's only just made me dizzy. But I
get bored with it all the time.
I got up at one point during the movie, to go to the bathroom, but then I was like, I'm not gonna feel bad if I stay out too long. So I went and got some popcorn because there was a lot of action, and I think I came back whenever it finally stopped.
Which I admit I found kind of weird because I was actually really invested in this particular piece of action, and this is going to be all spoilers, so but
spoiler alert.
But it's towards the beginning of the movie, the Enterprise is destroyed, and I mean that was torn apart.
That was awesome.
You just said you left because you got bored.
Okay, no, but seeing it just completely devastated on the planet that they landed on, that was okay, it was cringeworthy, and at the same time I'm like, okay, it's kind of awesome just to sort of see the Enterprise get her ass kicked.
Did it just go on for too long, you think?
Yeah.
Alright.
I went on for too long.
See, I was actually engaged in that, and this is a spoiler for you because again, Byrdie's seen about half the original series and nothing else beyond that. We're going through it in order, and we'll get done in about 10 years or whatever, I'm sure. Or as long as it's taking me to do Dragon Ball Dissection.
No, it's okay. I know Darth Vader's Luke's father.
Yeah, we actually just finished watching Star Wars Trilogy today, and you're getting out of frame, Bird. I don't want to lose you here.
It's my plan to slowly
sneak out of this video. See, this is why I work alone.
Hey. It's just that, I don't know, I'm not even...
But yeah, anyway, spoilers for you. There have been a lot of ships in Star Trek, Enterprises or otherwise, that have been destroyed in various movies and television properties. Oh yeah, I don't have to worry about spoilers because she's not paying attention anyway.
Here we are.
But honestly, of all the times I've seen an Enterprise blow up, this is probably the most interesting one I've ever seen before. It is this swarm, basically, the bad guy. I guess my only problem with this is that it seems too routine to be the end of the Enterprise. It doesn't seem like this is a really special kind of thing. But the way it was executed was really cool because they're attacked by this huge swarm of these tiny little ships.
Yeah.
They literally just dive bomb the Enterprise, millions of them at a time, smash through the hull, break off the nacelles.
Yeah.
And actually, I remember at one point I was thinking, once the nacelles were gone, I was like, why don't you guys just separate the saucer and get out of there? And the second I think that, they literally cut the saucer off of the star drive section.
I will say that was actually a really cool part because the guy's all badass and evil and he's like, cut their throat.
Yeah.
And then they just sever the thing entirely.
And I will say, like, as the Enterprise was leaving, the shot when it was actually leaving the space colony, Lexington, that's what it's called, actually has this, I thought it was a really weird shot at first, right? You're looking at, like, the torpedo launchers and the deflector dishes, like a really weird angle for the Enterprise to be coming out. I'm like, why are they showing me this little gooseneck part of it? And I think that was why, it's sort of foreshadowing that's going to get cut in half right there.
Yeah. Wow. But yeah, and I guess maybe the reason why the action was a little bit too much for me was they didn't balance it out with enough story, I think, or character building. For example, I would have liked to know Jalen a little bit more.
Well, I thought the character building was some of your favorite parts in this stuff. I mean, I know,
Well, yeah,
I know
I
exactly.
wanted more.
Oh, I want more too, but I know exactly what your favorite stuff in this movie is.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
That's my favorite stuff in the movie.
Spock and Bones.
Oh my god, Spock and Bones! I ship them so hard.
Yeah,
That's the gay relationship they should have put in the movie, was Spock and Bones.
Yeah, she's not Kirk and Spock. She's Spock and Bones.
I ship them so hard. God, you gotta look at it like this, okay? Bones is the woman, and Spock is the guy.
Well, he's like the nagging wife with the rolling pin.
Yeah. Okay. All right. It's not gender specific. It's just that stereotype. He's the nagging wife with the rolling pin. Yeah.
And I don't know. I guess they really went the Empire Strikes Back route with this. I mean, this is basically a stranded on a planet story. Is what it is. They don't spend that much time in space. Honestly, they spend most of this time on this planet that they crash on once the Enterprise is destroyed, which happens in the first act. And like in The Empire Strikes Back, they split up all the characters. So you have Kirk and Chekhov together, trying to get back to the Enterprise saucer to use their sensors to locate everybody. You have Scotty, who finds this other chick who's crashed here before, Jalen, was that her name?
I think it was Jalen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she lives in this older 22nd century starship that crashed here before called the Franklin, which I think is also another reference to Star Trek. I would assume the ship probably named it for Ben Franklin maybe, but in the TNG episode Relics, where Scotty shows up in that series, like the guy he was traveling with was named Franklin, so...
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't know that.
No, I
Yeah,
don't.
no idea what I'm talking about.
I don't know any of that. I just wanted you to go off on your own thing
Thanks.
for a while. Yeah.
And Sulu and Uhura are captured like most of the rest of the crew and put in this labor camp where the bad guy sucks out your soul or whatever. And then Spock and Bones managed to get away in one of the swarm ships, and they crash on the planet, and so they're together.
Yeah. And that is actually very true to the original series, in my opinion, was their relationship with each other, because like if you go back and you watch that, it's sass on sass. I mean, they're both made of nothing but salt, and that was portrayed perfectly
you love
in
salt
the movie.
and sass.
Yes, that's what makes me up. I relate to it.
But yeah, I mean the character interactions were so good in this movie, especially them. But I mean, but everybody else too had really good moments.
I did.
Scotty was hilarious.
Scotty, yes. I was saying, like, okay, so in the show, he's...
And who mourns for Adonais, I think you're talking about, where with the Apollo stuff, where he's in love with that girl?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, I was waiting for that to happen, for him to, like, develop a crush on Jalen and just go full-blown first-generation Scotty.
You leave her alone!
Like, try to be chauvinistic and everything.
And then Apollo flings him across the sound stage.
That was great. I wanted it to happen, but... no, he did a good job.
I will say that the bad guy plot was a little bit weak. I wouldn't say it's as weak as the Khan stuff was in Into Darkness, but it's very, very, very late in the movie before you figure out what's going on with this guy, and even when he does figure out when we do figure out who he is. The plan just never really made sense to me. There's this big, it's this tiny little MacGuffin thing, just like that.
Yeah, it's okay.
And it's something the Enterprise had from the beginning of the movie. And apparently it's some super weapon that creates its own little swarm that goes around like a person and like eats them from.
It kills you.
Yeah,
it kills you. It does
bad.
bad things, and if it gets in the thing, it's everybody's downfall.
It gets in the air conditioning in the spaceport.
It gets everybody, and it gets in your lungs, and then you have that in your system. You get what is it called? What mesothelioma?
You get dead.
You get mesothelioma. They have like a commercial about it and everything.
Yeah, well,
so
I guess they'll do a lawsuit later.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's a pretty cool way to see someone die, but I just don't see how it was any more effective than what he already had, because he already had his own swarm, but they were made of spaceships, they're little microscopic bees, and so he was able to tear apart the Enterprise the same way he tore apart one person with this. You only ever see him use it on one person.
Yeah.
And so, like, he could have, I mean, granted the Enterprise crew stopped him from using his ships, they destroyed his ships, and we'll get to that in a minute, because that was just its own little ball of crazy.
I don't know, I love that part.
I'm not sure how I feel. Let's hold on, let's keep it in, let's not forget about that, because that's whoa. But yeah, I mean, like, but his main plan was to use his giant swarm to break into the base to plant his little tiny swarm, when, ideally, couldn't you just kill them all with the giant swarm, like he destroyed the Enterprise? Why does he need this little tiny version of what he already has? I never got that.
Well, that's the thing, that this is, I think, my second complaint. I don't know what, I've lost track of the numbers. Anyway, it's one of my complaints.
Numbers are hard.
Look. They didn't really explain the technology of the planet that they were on very well. Okay, because Krull, that's his name?
Is a Krull something like that.
Something like that. Okay, bad guy.
It's very much a Klingon type name. The Krull.
Yeah. Krull or Captain Edison, whatever. Spoiler alert. The way that he survives is by siphoning the energy out of people, okay? But he was human first. He doesn't have this ability innately. He just got it whenever he was on the planet. And then he also got this weapon and all this army stuff while he was on the planet. But we don't know too much about that because they just say, hey, this is what happened. Go with it.
Well, yeah, I never really thought it was necessary to know exactly where that. Like, I was never wondering, how does this stuff work? I like knowing how stuff works, but in this case, it didn't seem that important to me. I mean, I know that he.
I need to know.
I mean, like, I know that he stays eternally young by sucking the souls out of people, and that's the whole reason that he kidnaps the Enterprise crew.
But how does he do that?
I just don't get why he
does this.
No, and they get all wrinkly and mummified. It's kind of like when Cell absorbs people in Dragon Ball. But I didn't get why he kidnapped all these people and then left Sulu and Uhura around just to listen to him talk about his plans. Like, why them? Just because they're main characters?
He's old and crazy. Just go with it. Don't question anything. Just go with it.
But yeah, it turns out that the ship, the Franklin, that Scotty and Jayla are working on, that crashed there before is actually from the Star Trek Enterprise era, and I will give the movie credit for this. That like when they show logs from that crew, they're actually wearing the Enterprise era uniforms. The ship looks kind of Enterprise era on the inside. And like they crashed here before, and it turns out that the bad guy Krull was actually their captain, Captain Edison, who went crazy and decided to he had fought in the Xindi Wars and he'd been a Mako and stuff like that, and he didn't understand how to fit into this new federation that they'd made, and how to be peaceful. And it really wasn't wasn't really delved into as much as I would have liked it to have been.
He just didn't agree with peace. He wanted to fight.
Yeah, and honestly, like when he was talking about it, before we found out who he was, that was pretty much all we got was, I don't like peace. Peace sucks. Peace makes you weak. But even when you find out who he is, it really doesn't boil down to much more than that. You just know who he is. You don't really get any deeper motivation than I don't like peace.
You think you know struggle.
I was born in struggle. Molded by it.
Oh, okay,
the first time I saw peace, I was already a man. I got Dax all excited. She loves the Bane voice.
Weirdo.
I just got a little rough spot right here.
Oh. beat 'em up for you?
We're on Star Trek right now.
Okay. I'll wait till the video's over and I'll beat you.
What did I do? I didn't do that. It just has a dry patch on her skin.
Oh, I thought it was a sore spot. I'm sorry.
Isn't this exciting? We're talking about dry skin.
So, Star Trek.
I don't know. Now you know where we were anymore.
Okay, we were talking about the, okay, that was my complaint about how they didn't really explain as well as they could have.
Yeah.
I mean, okay, the reason why I nitpick at these things is because it's like, okay, they didn't have the time to do that, but they had the time and the money to give me all sorts of action that I probably didn't.
Yeah, I mean, okay, yeah, I will say the action continues to get stupider and stupider in these movies, or at least just more. I mean, granted, I did not have many high hopes when I heard like the director of Fast and Furious was helming this movie. It's like, oh, that's what Star Trek needs, and we actually do get the big one of the big climax action pieces is a giant motorcycle chase through a quarry.
I knew that was gonna happen when they showed the motorcycle.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's Chekhov's motorcycle. You don't introduce a motorcycle without using it at some point.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then like once they get to Lexington to stop the evil plan, there's this whole thing where they like fly through the gravity slipstream to travel like hundreds of years. I mean, it's like, wow, this is a really weird city that they're in right now. It's like now Kirk has become Superman and can just fly through the air on this the gravity stream.
Of glass.
Yeah. And I didn't really get that either. Maybe I wasn't paying that much attention, but it's like, their plan ideally was to shut down the oxygen recyclers to keep Kroll from putting his bioweapon in there. And like, don't they need that to breathe? We're just gonna kill them one way or gonna kill them another way. It doesn't really seem to matter. They're just gonna die.
There's a few things left to the imagination, I think. But it was a good movie.
Second star to the right and straight on till morning.
Yeah.
I do like, and Simon Pegg, who co-wrote this movie, certainly gets these characters a lot better than the chuckleheads who wrote the previous two, where it's like they had Kirk eating an apple during the Kobayashi Maru and didn't even understand why that was important. It just was a coincidence. Yeah, you don't know what I'm talking about. You will.
Yeah.
Man, he really gets these characters, and he gets Star Trek lore. Like I said, putting in the stuff, the Enterprise era stuff, and if obviously Enterprise has a somewhat sordid reputation, so the fact that it actually references Enterprise might be a detriment to you if you're watching this. But at least it's sort of acknowledging what little continuity they've retained for this universe, and. I really appreciated that they just seemed to know what they were doing. I like that they included something about Spock Prime in there, because I think that was important thematically. Because in the first movie, Spock gets over his need to help the remnants of Vulcan, by being told that, oh well, there are two of me here, and the old one can stay and be a beacon to his people, and Spock can continue to just to have his own life. And since Leonard Nimoy has passed away, they actually did have Spock Prime pass away as well. And so that was a big part of Spock's character arc, just like with Kirk, who was wondering if he should stay in the captain's chair. Spock was also wondering if he should stay on the Enterprise as well.
Yeah.
And I also thought it was cool that he confided that to Bones long before Kirk ever found out. In fact, they actually never find out. Because by the end of the movie they decided to stick around, and so they never really discussed that. And that was kind of interesting.
That was cool though. I like that part. I like the parallels.
Yeah.
Between the two.
And they really do make the crew feel like a family after this.
Yeah.
They even have, I thought that was so cool, the very last thing where they actually have each character read off a section of the these are the voyages, Space the Final Frontier thing.
I thought my ears were playing tricks on me. I'm like, what? I'm just really tired. Oh, okay.
But I mean, and it worked. This works thematically, but I thought it was so silly when they're all finished and Spock goes to collect Spock Prime stuff, and he opens a little box and he pulls out this little placard, and he opens it up, and there's this promotional picture from Star Trek V of the original cast. And
What are
it
they
worked.
gonna do with the next picture? I think you brought that up before. Now that Anton's dead.
Well, yeah, there is that too. But it was made me wonder. It's like, okay, so like did Spock Prime carry this publicity photo everywhere he went, and he just hopped into the jellyfish with his vial of red matter and flew to Romulus. And I gotta make sure I get my picture of my homies, and stick it in my rose, just in case I travel back in time.
It seems fairly illogical.
Yeah. But it works thematically because it shows that that Spock Prime's crewmates for his family, and that I think that triggers Spock to make his decision to stay with his own family as well, rather than go back to Vulcan. So this is something I wanted to bring up, just because it caused a bit of a controversy before the movie came out, and not from an area you'd expect, really. But this movie does establish that Sulu has a family. He has a husband and a daughter. They made Sulu gay. And before the movie came out, that information leaked. And it was George Takei, the original Sulu of all people, who did not care for that.
He didn't approve.
He did not approve at all. And I have to say, I have no problem with it. And I've seen it in the movie, and just as a standalone kind of thing, I thought it was cute. I thought it was cute, and it didn't seem terribly forced. It wasn't like shoved in your face.
Yeah.
It was just, this is his family, and he loves them, and that's it.
Yeah.
They don't even talk. But I thought it'd be fun to sort of debate this, both from a movie perspective and a really nerd perspective as well.
I had no problem with it. I thought it was adorable. I saw that and I was like, yes.
Good
for you.
Well, do you think George Takei had any basis for complaining about this?
Well, he would know better than I would. He's more attached to the series than I am. I'm just saying, from a viewer's standpoint, I thought it was nice.
Well, I mean, I will say that as a performer, I can sympathize where George Takei is coming from. That obviously, apparently he when he created, helped form the character of Sulu as the actor playing him for a quarter of a century. Apparently he certainly did not think that Sulu was gay, and just George Takei as a person, I can understand him being a little bit miffed that it's like, oh, we wanted to pay tribute to you, so we made your character gay, and it's like, well, is that really what defines me? And I can understand him being upset by that. I was like, that's all you saw. You just, I don't have, not every character he plays has to be the same as George Takei. They're not the same thing.
It's an alternate universe.
I'm getting to that. But I also know that George Takei didn't write Star Trek, and especially like in episodic things, long running franchises, things change. Writers come up with new stuff, and actors don't always have all the information at the beginning when they're crafting a character, and they sort of have to just roll with the flow. Sort of like in Deep Space Nine, where more than halfway through the series, you find out that Bashir's was genetically enhanced as a child, and Alexander Siddig is like, I didn't know about that. I gotta change how I play this guy now. And so these things happen, and you just got to deal with it. And there's really nothing. There's not much that would contradict Sulu being gay in either universe. We don't really see him with with any kind of female entourage. Although in Star Trek V he's checking out a female Klingon's butt, so maybe
he's bi.
Yeah. And then of course you have Mirror Sulu, who's totally straight.
Oh yeah.
But for the parallel universe thing, everybody's always saying, well, this is an alternate reality, so this Sulu can be gay. It has no bearing on that Sulu. And I would agree with that, because it always comes back to the one problem I have with these movies, is that if they just made their own frickin' universe, they could have done whatever they wanted to, but since they wanted to mix everything together and have this be time travel, then, these aren't parallel realities, these are, one timeline that's split into multiple paths. Hi, Dax, thanks, you're ruining my visual representations here.
I am dog.
Yes, you are a dog. And, so, if it kind of gives an unfortunate implication if you say the Prime Sulu is straight, and it's the alternate reality Sulu that's gay, because doesn't that imply that something made him gay?
I think you're thinking about this.
I'm probably thinking about it more than people who made this stupid franchise did, but yeah, I mean, I think that's a really sort of weird implication. Like, either I have no problem thinking that the Prime Sulu is gay, and I would love to assume that the little girl that we see him with in this movie is Demora Sulu from the Prime, timeline, because Sulu does have a daughter in the Prime continuity. We only see her as an adult, but yeah, he does have a daughter, so it really be Demora. But yeah, I mean, I see all this. I don't have a problem with the stuff in the movie. I think it has some interesting implications to talk about. And I don't think the mirror universe affects that, because those are just completely separate from each other. So yeah, sure, that Sulu can be straight and the Sulu can be gay. That doesn't bother me. I mean, there's one point in the mirror universe where there's a character who's a hologram in the real universe is a real person in the mirror universe. So all bets are off when it comes to that. But I thought it was interesting that the gay icon George Takei wouldn't just be celebrating this. I thought it was pretty interesting. He was like, no, I don't like this. I wish you made an actual gay character from scratch.
Yeah.
But anyway, as far as this movie goes, I think it works fine. I thought it was cute.
It was adorable.
I like the new uniforms they had in this movie. I don't know if you noticed.
Jacket's pretty sweet.
What?
So that jacket's pretty sweet.
Yeah, they do have like excursion jackets and things like that. But I mean, just like their standard uniform has changed from the previous movies, just a little bit. Has like this higher collar stuff going on. It looks really kind of classy. And at first I thought they were just doing like a dress uniform, because when we first see Kirk in this movie, he's like doing this, he's doing his ambassador stuff, trying to bring two peoples together. And so I thought they were doing like those Nehru jacket stuff that they have in the original series, but that's the real uniform. It was pretty cool. I will say, like, something I was excited about going into this movie was the idea. I read about it. Was like they had this idea of what deep space does to you after a long time, because it starts off like they're in the third year of their 5-year mission. They're like, oh god, I don't know if I can do this anymore, and every day is
episodic.
It's like we're a TV show or something. And I was really looking forward to seeing that delved with, but they didn't. It was an opening setup kind of thing. Yeah. It's then like, we're bored, and then action happens.
We're not bored anymore.
Yeah. I mean, I'm disappointed, but I'm not disappointed in the same way that Into Darkness disappointed me with that kind of stuff, because, like I said, at least this one was about something. So I can accept that was just a sort of a setup, but I was looking forward to that being, delved into, and, but it was a lot of fun.
Yeah. I had fun watching it.
I would see this one again. I have not seen Into Darkness at all since I saw it 3 years ago. I've had no desire to see it again. This one I would definitely see again. And honestly, I wish the film franchise had started right here. We could have just skipped those last two movies and gone straight to this. But I enjoyed this. Oh, and Kirk was great.
He was very good.
I hated him in the first movie because he was that stupid frat boy thing, and I think he was a lot better in Into Darkness. I think that was one of the few nice things I said about that one. But this has been so long, I don't remember it that well. But in this one,
I blocked it out.
I remember you saying he seemed Shatner-esque.
Into Darkness?
No, in this one, you said he was very Shatner. And
no, he seemed to act a little bit. He got more into the character, I guess.
And I don't know if I agree with that statement just on the sort of implications that it carries. It's not like he's doing the Shatner
that's
calls.
not what I meant.
He feels much more captain-y, much more has the same sort of gravitas that Shatner gave the character, right?
He had the swagger.
Like he felt very reminiscent of what Captain Kirk was.
Yeah.
And the whole thing in general is that it doesn't feel like the Star Trek version of Muppet Babies anymore. These actually really feel like the characters now, and not just like the teenage versions of them gallivanting around the galaxy. Kirk feels like he deserves to be a captain at this point.
Yeah.
These people feel like the real people now.
Well, if they're going along with the continuity of this series, then that kind of fits because, like it says in the beginning of the movie, you know, he joined Starfleet on, like, what, a dare? And
Yeah, Captain Pike got him into it.
Yeah.
Because he was just piddling his life away.
Yeah, so he didn't really take it that seriously, and now he does take it seriously. And
yeah, I mean, it's character development, and I if it had been handled better in the first movie, but you know, the first movie didn't really leave it there. The first movie was like, oh well, you're a pretentious douchebag. Let's make you captain. We haven't even finished the academy, and that was just so ridiculous. God. So, like, you know, if they'd had the idea of, you know, him growing throughout these movies and eventually becoming captain, you know, around this point of the last movie, you know, that would have made more sense. But now I'm getting back into the other terrible parts of this franchise.
It's okay. It's alright, come back to me. If he goes any further, he's gonna start, like, shaking and rocking back and forth.
So yeah, you know, before this movie came out, Anton Yelchin passed away.
Unfortunate.
Yeah, and so, like, you know, the movie's dedicated both to Leonard Nimoy and him, which, you know, obviously I'm sure that, you know, that was not their intention at first, because that was really unexpected.
Yeah, no, I mean, you can kind of tell with the way that they credited him in the credits.
Yeah, it was like...
it's in loving memory
of
of
Leonard Nimoy,
and then for Anton.
Yeah, for Anton.
Yeah.
And it's really, and honestly, I was forgetting that most of the time I was watching the movie. I was invested enough that I was just seeing Chekhov on the screen and enjoying his stuff. And I was like, oh yeah, I mean, especially, I guess probably at the end, when they were all having the party together, and, you know, it really felt like they'd come together as a family. I was actually finally looking forward to more adventures with these people. Yeah, he's not there anymore. He's not going to be in any more of these movies.
I wonder how they're going to do that.
I read on the Wikipedia page that J.J. Abrams, who's still producing these things, said that they're not going to recast him. So I guess that means they're going to remove the character of Chekhov, and whether that means, you know, just having him reassigned or something, sort of like in, like, you know, the animated series or something where he's just not there, or if they're going to kill him off, like they killed off Spock Prime when Leonard Nimoy died.
We'll see in the next installment. Stay tuned, folks.
Yeah. I think that's about all I have, I think. Of course, I'm probably going to remember something I really, really wanted to say, and as soon as I finish making this. And
I just gotta see how it goes up, because I just realized you've been projecting and I haven't, so I don't know. Will they be able to hear me?
I think we're still recording right now.
Well, yeah, I know. You can cut this part out.
No, I'm not. I haven't said goodbye yet. I'm not just going to cut the video off just like in mid...
Welcome to the process. Anyway.
She's new.
I'm new. This is dog.
So yeah, so my final verdict is I think they finally figured out how to do this. I think getting new people into the writing room, getting new people into the director's chair really helped this franchise, because the actors were always good, but now they finally have better material to work with. And it wasn't great, but I liked it, and, you know, I was like, okay, finally this is a good solid foundation to do stuff. Oh, you know, I will say, if I at one point in the movie I was thinking, this feels like the television show.
Yeah.
And not in a bad way, because a lot of people were saying, like, when the Next Generation movies were coming out, they're like, oh, these just feel like 2-hour long episodes. But that was in a pejorative sense, like, this doesn't feel big enough, doesn't feel important enough to be a movie. But, I mean, in this case, I mean that it has a sort of that same kind of...
It feels like Star Trek.
Yeah, it feels like Star Trek, where the previous movies did not feel like Star Trek to me.
And there are definitely Star Trek episodes that were way worse than this movie.
Oh, yeah.
For example, that one that was themed around gangsters that I
Yeah, she hates a piece of the action.
So annoying.
The 1920s gangster episode.
So annoying.
It was pretty repetitive.
It's unnecessary.
Pretty repetitive. So yeah, I mean, would you recommend this movie to the good peoples who watch my channel?
Yeah. I would definitely go out and see it.
Yeah, okay, so if you go see it and you don't like it, blame her.
It's worth paying money for.
You didn't pay money for this. I used the gift card.
I'm saying, though, like, I would have paid money for it.
Okay, well, you can pay for it when we go to see it again. If we go see it again.
We're going to see it in theaters again? Wait till it comes out on DVD. I didn't love it that much.
Obviously, we're gonna have to fight about this now, so I think it's best to let you guys go. Ah!